Welcome to Breathing with Bierman, the podcast. It's been a long time, but I think we have an interesting guest. First, if you like what you hear today, please check out my Breathing with Bierman, the podcast on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and other amazing social media platforms. Today's guest, this is what I'm writing. He's at the intersection of technology, the military, public schools, innovation. He's found better ways to deploy troops, to mentor people, put in solar panels, save money. He's been a financial officer at public schools for over 25 years. He's currently in Robbinsville, New Jersey Public Schools. Please welcome, I hope I get the last name correct, Nick Mackres.
Hello, thank you, Adam.
Thank you, thank
Pleasure to
you.
be here. Yeah.
Yes, we talked. I came over from Princeton Public Schools. Just a side note, I'm on the school board. We don't have to discuss that though, but I wanted to learn what you all were doing in Robbinsville, and you have a very impressive website, and you were quite articulate, and you explained to me in layman's terms when to save money, the best times to save money with late afternoon and everything. But let me kick it off though. Something I check out my notes and we'll let you speak. You've been at several schools. You have a pretty impressive record when I look at your resume about saving money. What kind of forensic audit do you do in your mind when you come to a public school?
I just kind of do it simple. Whenever I enter a new place, you're always studying, you're looking at it. What can you do? It's really about people, right? The people business and looking at things. I grew up in an entrepreneurial family, so it's always like do better, do more. What can you do? And with the military background I have, it's more of, a lot of A players and, there's always a sense of urgency. Let's go take action and always improve things. But we always understand that, you're not the smartest person in the room. You listen to others. It's sometimes you just have to change that mindset. And almost everywhere I've been, I always get some taste of the same thing of, hey, well, we've always done it that way.
Gotcha.
And you're like, well, is there a better way of doing it? If you did it before and it failed, why did it fail? And so forth. Did anything change? Did the metrics change? The dynamics change? So you go through that. And of course, you always have to study and do a lot of key performance indicators. You look at your staffing, your personnel, your health insurance, all these things, just like any other business would be. But the big thing is, you know, what can we do different? Can we do better? Because the reality is money is very finite. It's a resource, and everyone's always fighting for it. And, you have the taxpayers pushing one envelope, you have the parents pushing another, administration pushing a different way. But every dollar I can save in operations and business is a dollar more we can give to our kids, and a dollar less I have to raise in taxes. So as you become more and more efficient, like the public understands that, and it'll be better for the future for everyone. So you're always looking at improving things, no matter what that is. So yeah.
Well, you have specific, I guess you were pointing to a specific mindset. I was reading a little bit about you. Your father or grandfather came in Bayville, Greek immigrants. They built like a they built things by hand. They gathered land up and
Yeah, yeah, my dad came here as an orphan, dropped out at eighth grade, owned his own pizza shop in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware by the time he was 18, right? And got into the restaurant business and then, got lucky, got fortunate, worked very hard, right? He made his own luck. And then he got into construction, and then he built another restaurant, then he built a hotel, he built shopping plazas, and then, married my mother, brought her to America, and when my dad took over another business, my mother took over a restaurant. I mean, she had, all these employees running around. Mind you, she had elementary school education. My father had a middle school education, and they're doing all these wonderful things, and they raised us all that way. I have, older sisters, and they always push that, value on us to push forward entrepreneurial mindset, and do more. We live in a blessed country. There's no way they would have done all these things back home. And, no excuses. And
Right,
so
right.
that mindset, go forward. I mean, it's helped me a lot. It's going from college to the military. You grow in these positions. So it's like a toolbox, a different tool in your toolbox, and you use it as much as you can. And over time, you know, there's so many stories. I love telling stories.
Go
Uh,
ahead.
I don't even have enough time to tell those stories, but these experiences just take a road and have passion, and that's it's a big thing. In Greece, they always, when someone passes, they always say, like, did they live a passionate life,
I
right?
like that.
you
Yeah.
know, um, so it's a big thing for us. So they instilled those values in me, and I have successful older sisters, and I'm always trying to, catch up and do well. But somehow I got pulled into government work and government life, and I've enjoyed giving back to society that way, and it just feels more comforting to me doing that.
Right.
So, yeah.
But you went from Columbia to the Marines, which is kind of, you don't see a lot of Ivy Leaguers. I mean, I remember at Princeton, we had the ROTC building, which is now back on campus. It got blown up back in '69. But one thing I'm checking out your resume, you worked on how to better deploy, I mean, maybe deploy troops, or is it supplies? What did you see? What did you see differently? You talk about, you must have a skill though, because a lot of people can see something, but they can't see how they can make it better. What happened?
Uh, you know, since I was a kid, I've always, liked the military, running around, questioning engineering. My father would always, every time he was doing a construction project, as a small child, he would put me on the job. Take a look at what they're doing. Look what the electrician's doing. Look at what the mason is doing. Learn from them. It must have been highly, highly annoying for the workers, having this kid running around, breaking things, messing with things. But, they really did teach me over time. I'm sure we would be in trouble today with workers' compensation laws and liabilities.
Yeah, yeah.
But, and I got into a very great school. I did mechanical engineering, and then, a recruiter was chasing me. And I'm like, you know what? I'm never going to live this back. I'm never going to, I'm not going to do it when I'm old. So I said, let me just try it. Instead of, my friends were doing internships over the summer in law school,
And
law
Wall Street
firms.
Law School, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and investment banking in Manhattan. And now I'm like, no, I'm going to go join the Marine Corps.
Yeah, I
And I
mean,
signed up for 6 years and never looked back. And so it took me the world over. I've been to Japan, South Korea, traveling, asking those questions, Iraq, numerous times in Iraq. And those are the one things where, you see something that we needed it. And I would just say, you know what, let me try it. And so one example was, I invented the blackout kit, and I give it away for free, by the way.
oh,
So we're driving around in Iraq right before the invasion. We needed these special batteries. I was told that if we don't get these supplies, 20,000 Marines cannot talk to each other and we cannot communicate. These are very, very specific batteries. And,
so lives could be lost, confusion and chaos.
oh,
It's pretty
everything.
important.
And
Yeah.
you're about to invade. We haven't been to a major war like this in decades, and hopefully not for a long time again. And go get them. And I'm running around, I'm going around, Scud missiles are blowing up, we're doing all these things. Next thing I know, 10, 12 hours pass. I've already been up, 24 hours already, or, barely any sleep. And we're going through, driving through the different lines. Everyone's about to invade, I can't go this way, I have to go that way. Next thing you know, it's nighttime. Somebody stops me. Hey, where are you going? You can't go over there. We're about to invade. I'm like, no, I'm even closer to the front line than you are.
Mhm.
And, we're going through these tank berms, big, big berms, and we're wearing gas masks.
Cause possible chemical attack. Or you were
And,
like, were you over the border from Kuwait, closer to Baghdad? Is that
well,
basically?
we were in Kuwait about 5 miles from the border. And
Right.
we were pre-station right there, pre-stage. Our General Mattis, former Secretary of Defense, he was my boss's boss. So we were very close to the front line. We took that risk. So it was one less jump for us to do. We were much closer. We should have been 50 miles back, but we were right at the border.
Were you
And
scared? Were you afraid of dying at that point, or you just wanted to focus on the mission? I
And you were
always,
just focused. I had to get those batteries, right?
okay.
When somebody tells you, you have to get these batteries, and we had to get other things. The scuds were going off. We thought there were all chemical weapons on them,
Right.
so that's another story. I had to get doxycycline because of all, medical issues going on. I mean, I had a whole list of things, and I'm coming to the point where we can barely see, we can barely drive, and you know we couldn't turn our lights on because the enemy would see us. So all our lights were off. But we have these little infrared flashlights and we're wearing night vision goggles and we put a little filter on it. I'm like, why can't I take that filter and put it on these big lights in the trucks? So I get back from Iraq. I just contacted a vendor and I said, I want this, and we made a deal. And did some R&D, had all this stuff together. They're like, what do you want for it? I'm like, nothing. I need this for the next time we go because we're punching out again 6 months later and heading into Fallujah at that time. So that drive ahead, getting all those things together of, hey, I see a need. I have something else that mimics it. Let's go and call a company up and get this done. And that's been pervasive with me of, well, why can't we do that, right? When you go into a school, bring it back to a school, you go where the money's at. Two-thirds of our money is spent on staffing, right? You can't just
Yeah. Health
fire
and
everybody, but
right.
benefits is a big thing. So why can't we change our health benefit providers, right? Oh, you can't do that. You can't do this. And it's like, I just call the broker up and just have a frank conversation. I want you to shop it around. I want you to get me to this kind of joint insurance fund. I had one broker say, I don't know what those are. And that was a couple of districts ago. And I'm like, well, let's make one. I mean, that was my attitude, right? And so I didn't make a joint insurance fund, but the next district I went, I found out that broker was lying to me, didn't want to do the work. So, when I talk to a broker now, when I came to Robbinsville, it's like you had a frank conversation. I'm new here. You're just being interviewed for your job right now. Get me into this joint insurance fund and
Right.
price it out. Right. And they did. And within 6 months, we turned it around and saving well over $1 million a year. And the staff saves as well. They save thousands of dollars each.
Can this be mimicked by have other people, other in public schools in New Jersey, like mimicked what you've done? Or I mean,
Absolutely. So people ask, like, what can we do? And when this joint insurance fund started, first of all, they have it for property and casualty already, workers' compensation. And so a group got together to do this for health insurance. And they just picked the best clients, the best school districts. They get together, they price it out. I think we were like the 20th at the time when I was, when I first joined them 8 years ago, my prior district. And I think we're almost up to 100 now out of 600 school plus districts, 600 plus. So I thought I was very high at $47,000 for a family health plan. We found out the state just launched their numbers, $71,000
jeez.
to
Oh,
match.
so you're way under. I mean, you said on your
Way up.
resume, you saved over $1 million already. I
Yeah.
mean,
Comparing to the state, it'd be 3 million. Right.
right. That's
Um,
refreshing to hear because it's really scary right now. Like you said, there's a finite amount of money. The healthcare, it's so volatile. Healthcare and of course we have salaries and everything and cost of living. So it's a scary time. So what I'm getting from you, it's the politics, it's a policy, it's a process, it's the politics. You said no, we could do it a different way. You found out what they were thinking or what they didn't know, and you created your own.
always people assume like, oh, you lowered the benefits. We didn't lower it. We matched them. It's
Right.
just that you're in a better pool,
Okay.
right? And it's work. You have to get your broker. You have to talk to your board, all your committees. Government is slow, and so And rightfully so. I understand it. Sometimes it's too slow. You have to find that happy medium. Like for solar, it took me 6 months longer to pass it than I should have, and we got a worse price for it. We would have been saving, I would say, another two, $300,000 more if we had acted a little quicker, because the prices were changing with COVID, and what was on the street. But of course, on their hindsight, they were like, Nick, it's failed twice already before. What makes you think you're going to get it through, and take your time?
Right, right.
And so, with me, it was, let's go through it. There's a couple of things I'd love to do in the school district. And, I was pressing for years, let's do an academy. We have the second best robotics team of an amazing school. You can do an academy, get students from other schools to come to you, they pay you, and so forth. And, unfortunately, we've had some, um, budget concerns. And so we had to cut staff, and I was forecasting this. I mean, you can do a measurement, you show the math, and people sometimes just don't believe it, even though there's data here. I'm not manipulating it. It's absolute fact. And no, no, the town's going to grow. The government would never cut our budget. This never happened. Well, it did happen, and there's
Right.
other schools happening. And now I'm having a hard time launching these things because it came to fruition. So, can it be done? Yeah, you can. You just have to be quick, and you have to be in the forefront. And there's people who want to be ahead of the curve, want to be in front of it, or they want somebody else to go first, and then like I'll learn from you guys and I'll go second, which is fine. But if you're still looking and the way in the back, you're in the caboose still looking where the train's already turned and you can't even see the front of it, right? What are you doing? And that's what's going on with state health benefits right now. They're trapped in this horrible loop that nobody wants to pull out of state health benefits. And it's just going downhill, and we've been monitoring it.
Yeah,
And
it is.
that
It's true.
now it's going to be worse. You know, and with that, I just say, well, yeah, the school district will pick up 80 to 90% of the cost, but the employee is also picking up 10 to 20. So
Right.
it's money out of their own pocket too.
We're on a death spiral. The state health benefits could be on somewhat of a
Yeah,
trip.
and it's not a good, right? Because all the healthy ones have left already, right?
Right.
You would have left already if you had a healthy district, or you were proactive. If you want to still stay there, and get slaughtered, go right ahead. But they also have the retirees on those benefits. They also have a worse pool. And they play some shenanigans as well, and it's politics. So we took that completely out of the question. We're on our own, and we actually have a better program because it's run by school districts, all by school districts with themselves. So for a great example, my first meeting about 8 years ago, I was shocked. I show up, I think it's going to be these CFOs and business administrators all about money and deny this, deny that. They're like, no, 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 this is us. It's our own
Right.
people, right? We're on these benefits too. We take these plans. And what they found out was statins, the $10 copay for medical, for prescriptions, people weren't taking their statins. And like, well, one heart attack alone can cover all of the costs of statins and medications. So they just said from now on, no copays for statins.
Right.
I mean, how smart like that's just look, and other people would look at you like, well, what do you mean you're not going to charge? Like, why would you? You want people to take their medications, right? You want people to be healthy. And here we are 8 years later, everyone's trying to push for healthier, you know, uh, body. Well, of course, you're going to see those costs go down. It's just too
Right.
expensive, right?
That's the amazing thing. See, that one little thing, people were not taking their statins. That means I mean, that's a major breakthrough in heart disease. As my dad's a doctor, he said, I mean, my grandfather would have lived, he said, another 30 years if he was in a period where they had statins and everything and been healthier. But yeah, that's the thing. You got to dig deeper, and you find things you don't know, or you find out things that there are solutions that people just change their behavior, or you incentivize them to change their behavior. I guess you're saying. What about a Zempic? Is that killing us? Is there a
No.
cheaper? Is there a cheaper way
It's
to lose
killing,
weight?
it's killing the prescription costs. It's the major
Yeah.
driver now, all these GLP-1 drugs. But you can see it, people are healthier, right?
Right. So maybe in the long run, if we again, but I
Oh,
like what
that's
you
what they
said.
say. We've actually had presentations on this, and they're like, the cost will continue to go up for another 2, 3 years
No
before you
matter what.
start seeing a leveling off and a healthier population. So
Right.
we're expecting, 10, 15% increases in healthcare. So if you thought 47,000 was high, it's going to hit 60, 70,000 soon. The state will probably cross 100,000 in the next few years.
Yeah.
And think about it, you're paying people 50, 60, 70,000, 80,000, and their health benefits are more, right? It's something's got to change. So we'll see what happens. But it'll be, all I see is a lot of people buying new clothes when they're on these drugs. So
You're right, though. If they're healthier, they're a better self-image, they take better care of themselves. It's hopefully. But I like
yeah,
what you said, though, too. You were dealing in trends and facts, and other people were dealing in what might happen.
yeah.
And that can be dangerous. I've seen that.
Yeah. And if you're in a public meeting, you're talking about it, and people just undercut you, right? This isn't, we're not in corporate America, I said this, let's do this, let's act on it. You're not in the military
Yeah.
where a directive and an order can be given, you're in a school district, right? It's very touchy feely. You have to watch it. People take their time, and you have to get everybody on board the same way. Right. And so there is a tipping point, right? And once you get a certain amount, then, people want to come and follow.
Right.
People want to follow leaders. And so you'll see that. And it's amazing. You'll see it in school districts where nothing, 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 and all of a sudden something, tips over and everybody's moving in the right direction. And when you get everybody together, it is quite amazing. I've seen it in a couple of the school districts and turn things around. And I've had two national blue ribbons my last two districts, and it's
Yeah,
amazing.
that's where the means a little too perfect. Look, I'm not here to kiss your butt, but
Yeah,
it reminds me of Apocalypse Now, like the Marlon Brando. It's like it's too perfect. You seem so mellow. You seem to handle people well, I guess. When you come in and you come in with new suggestions and everything, you must scare people. So how do you, as a leader, how do you reach that tipping point? What do you?
so it's amazing how fearful people are, and fearful of change, even if it's good change. And I'll call it out. Like even good change is scary because it's stressful, right? But let's ride the wave. Let's do it together. Wherever I go, people are researching me before I show up. Even in the military, they'll who is this? Who are they? It's quite natural. They make their preconceptions, and I'll come in and I have an open door policy. We talk about it. And when I was a young officer, this is like 30 years ago, right? Time flies. You're a little bit more directive, and you notice it with the generals, right? It's more people like it's how do you get other people to do and rise to the occasion and the challenge. And
Really general. So they're not focused. Their egos weren't out of control. They weren't like, do it now, damn it. They kind of knew about to get to point B, we have to maybe do it a different way, so
Yeah,
to speak.
it's much different. Very mellow, very metal, and it's obviously if the situation dictates, you're in the middle of combat, things will change. But for the
They're in
most
present
part,
danger. Yeah, correct.
yeah, yeah, there is but schools, I'm a threat, right?
Right.
It's just, you're going to change things. You're going to go money. You're going to do you have to get over those hurdles, right? And it's not about you. And I say this to people, and it's a little bit scary, but it's blunt and straight to the point. These schools, right, are going to be here long after we're dead,
Yeah, no, true.
right? Take care of them, right? Don't do short-sighted, right? Decisions, right? You have to make long term for the best of the district and the kids. And if you don't teach children appropriately in one year, you can mess up one year. And if they have a good teacher the next year, it'll catch up. And that's data driven, right? But if you have two bad years in a row, the odds of the child coming back and catching up are very far and few in between. So, you have, people talk about the police and the military, they have guns and they have control and they have power, and you see ICE running around right now. I'm like, no, no. Educators have your children. And
Right.
if you
Every
believe
day,
in
every day.
education and the future, that's more important, right? And this is an industry that, doesn't have many people of what I do. And I'm here to help. And it's like I love it. Every day is different. Every day is different, right? You get involved. It's amazing. Work, no matter how bad it is, I just tell people, anybody shooting at you, no, it's okay. We're good. We'll
Right.
solve this and we can take care of it. And when they see that attitude that, the sky's not falling, let's go forward.
Right. Right.
And let's make it better than before, and then we'll take care of it. So if you had a cyber attack, we've had those, right?
Yeah. So, yeah. And you wrote something on cybersecurity, if you want to mention
Yeah,
that.
we had myself, my IT director, we wrote an article, and it was on the cover story for New Jersey school boards, and we presented as well. And we talked about our experience and what we did around. Now people are emulating us, and it's like every day we're like, well, what are we forgetting? Where else are we weak,
Mhm.
right? And you try to move forward. We had a budget issue. We had to take things into our own hands. We found a way to permanently increase our budget outside of the 2% cap before politics got involved and the politicians gave us more authorities. And people said, you can't do that. There's a law that says this. And you're like, yeah, but there's a law that says that, and that law is much older, and they didn't rewrite each other. They didn't negate each other. So why can't it do that? And you know, um, we're a state that allows, a plebiscite. The public can vote on this, right?
Right.
So, let's take it to the vote. Let's take it to the public. It failed the first time, but it made it through the second time.
Oh, right. Right. I
And
wonder
then,
how popular that would be. It did. I did pass the second time. Okay. So,
yeah,
so
it did
the people.
pass. And then we cut the number down a bit. And it did pass. And then, with that, after that, I probably had 15, 20 school districts calling me. How did you do it? What law is it? And I was like, here it is, copy and paste. They're like, oh, do you mind if we copy it? I'm like, we work for the government. The government's already paid me once. You can have, right? Just take it, right? There's no copyright in education, right? In public education, right? And it goes around. People come back and help me. And so, you have to build those bridges, right?
Right.
So,
But so you check. So I'm getting from you though. You just keep your voice, your body language. You point to a future, and you're not, and you don't try. And at the same time, you're saying, look, do we want to get this done? How can we get this done? And you try to include them at the same time. It's almost like you're saying, like, what do you want to do? And how do you want to do? You give your side, you listen to them, and then you say, don't we want to do the same thing? Is that it? Kind of.
I do, and everyone's a little bit different, right? I mean, I'm Greek, so the big fat Greek wedding, right? How do you make it believe it's somebody else's idea, right? Do you
Right.
pull
Right.
through it? We had a payroll and accounting system that was decades old, but people don't want to change, right? And I've talked to some school districts. They're like, "Oh, it can't work there. We have to wait till a certain person retires, and then you can
Oh,
change."
yeah, I've seen that.
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
And I pulled everybody together, and this is a military thing. Pull everybody together, and there is a pecking order, there is a hierarchy, right? As most organizations. Well, when you ask a question, you don't let the highest ranking person speak first, right? That's how NASA, Columbia Space Shuttle disaster, right? They overtalked the people who knew the answers. You start from the
Oh, right, right. That
you
was like,
start from
yeah,
the
the
low,
group thing took over and people were
yep,
afraid to say
because they didn't want to, counteract or countermand
the boss.
the boss or the person who's been there and the PhDs and all this stuff and the history, these legends. We start at the lowest. And I've seen it, the lowest ranking person, and the general will sit there and listen to the lowest ranking person. And I did that, and I've seen it, and I go through it. Hey, we've got a computer system that's very old. It's our holy grail for us. It's got all our our social security numbers, our bank accounts, our legal documents in there. If this thing gets hacked,
Wow, the
right,
mother load. Yeah.
what are you going to lose?
Yeah.
Right? Do you want your social security number out? Do you want this? And they went around the room and I'm like, what do you want to do? Let's change, let's change, let's change. By the time it got to me to give my advice, I
It
had
would already done.
10 people already said yes. I would have been the minority vote.
God,
Or
you
the
remind
only
me of the smart cop who said that when he talks to people, how he de-escalates. Besides calming first, everyone has something to lose that's important to them, in a sense. And you kind of
yeah.
hit on that right there. But he
Well,
did,
yeah, and the last thing I want to do is give a direct order. Hey, you will do this, right? Because there's no buy-in, right?
no.
And every like every other day, there's a new idea coming out. Like, hey, what do you have? What's what we do? And like, okay, let's think about that. Well, I don't know the numbers. Listen, get with me. It's another administrator. I'll help you do the numbers for you. There's something you might be missing, and it'll make it even better, or something. Or hey, it's this much work, and let them decide if it's risk averse or is the juice worth the squeeze, or the pros versus the cons, right? But I really believe in the Eisenhower matrix. Like when something's going on, like, do I have time? Can I delegate it? What can I do? And I have it outside my door. People, when they come in my office, they see it. And you run that because there's just not enough. There's always more requirements coming out,
Yeah,
right, from the
mandates.
state, and there's always more demands of you, and there's a smaller budget, and you got to do more with less, and you're not appreciated, and no one's going to say thank you, right? It's a thankless job. And so, I did supply and logistics. It's a thankless job. You do get one once in a while, and you're like, ah, I'm good. I got one thank you. I'm good for at least another month, right?
Okay.
And so you just have to go through it like, hey, where have we been? And where did we come from? And then you start reminiscing. Remember this, remember, and it gets that progression that you need. It takes time. And like I said, there is a certain point where there's a tipping point, but you don't know when it's coming. You just have to keep on going and have the fortitude to continue taking those beatings and continue to go forward. I write everything down in my book, every note, every idea. I may not do it tomorrow or the month after, but it's written down. It could take me 5 years to do it, but it will be done. And so, you go through that. And then sometimes I go back in time, what's left to do. So your voice is heard, and we'll go through it. But
Oh, well, I like that. I mean, I like what we're in 5 minutes to go. I like what we do. I do that too. I write things down and I review it every maybe month or something. What could I do in this situation? What did I think about?
yeah,
What's my
what
final
could I have done
goal?
better? What has
Yeah, yeah,
changed?
yeah. Because you
Right.
can lose that thread because you're in the middle of the day. You're doing so many. You must have 16 things in your head at sometimes, when you have crisis comes and everything and
I'm
everywhere.
really big in sticky notes all over my desk, so it's all
Right.
clean. Yeah. The other side of this desk is all sticky notes. So yeah, but
Well,
yeah.
in our final, like now we're down to 3 minutes. Do you want to give any shout outs? How about this has been fascinating. Leadership and innovation. Any predictions you want to make? What are we looking at with public schools or anything you want to say to the world?
Oh, with public schools? Oh, yeah. It's my predictions are there's going to be winners and there's going to be losers in funding, right?
Okay.
So you want to be on the winning side a bit, but the big thing is don't take it for granted. Make every dollar count. Every dollar count. Review all your stats, review all your people and your numbers. Do not take it for granted,
Right.
because you have to be more efficient. I'll tie it up again. Every dollar you can save is a dollar less you have to tax, but more importantly, it's a dollar more for your students.
Right.
Uh, so that's my takeaway.
I couldn't end it any better on that. This has been, I think people should study this too on a leadership class because I like some of the techniques you talked about, that make a lot of common sense. Well, Nick, last name, please, Macris?
Macrease.
Macris, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Well, thanks again. And hope I can be in contact with you if I want to give you a call about questions or comments. I went over I crunched some numbers myself pretty quickly about staffing and schools and everything. It's quite interesting. I wanted to call you up about that, but that'll be off the air.
Anytime. Thank you, Adam.
Okay.
Have a great day.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much. And this has been another exciting Breezing with Bierman.